Hello and welcome back. Please forgive the camera quality. I'm having issues. Like, subscribe, do the usual, and all information you need is down there. I'm having camera problems, to say the least, on the subject since the last iOS update. So, let's talk about Doctor Who. Doctor Who is a show that I absolutely loved. You know, there's been issues recently which have caused some disconnect, but I'm just going to talk about this episode. It's called The Star Beast. It's part of the 60th anniversary special, and it brings back Tenant and Donna Noble. Now, I want to say this. Tenant and Donna Noble were a magical couple on screen. The chemistry always worked, and it's still there. Like, Catherine Tate's funny. Like, there is no way around it. Tennant's funny. And there's a nice chemistry and a nice chilled thing going on. But it works. And I really like them on screen together. I have interesting opinions. I do love the fact they explained what happened to her grandfather. I thought that was nice, and we kind of got some explanations. I will say the writing, especially in the first 3 quarters, was really good. Like, the characters worked, the story worked. The last quarter was not so good. I feel like there were some moments in this episode it could have done without. I think some of the press around this has been quite negative. I think one of the articles is just switching people off because they're sick of being told what to think. There was a scene with Donna and her daughter. It was annoying, and it was very disrespectful. It was very belittling, the way it was handled, and I know it was trying to be funny, but I think that just didn't work. But the fact that, this article, Geeky Sparkles on Twitter actually posted a great quote on it. This article probably cost the show a bunch of viewers. Not because the people are bigots, but because the author tells people if they don't like it, they are. And people are sick of more of the same BS and don't watch. And that's true. Like, if you're told you don't like something, criticism is immediately blown off because you're a bigot or an instaphobe of some kind, and it just becomes this weird circle jerk of, instead of listening to the criticism, it kind of devolves into name calling. It was strange to see that. The article was like, this episode is not for TERFs type thing, and it was ridiculous. But this episode as a whole was a decent, good episode of Doctor Who, and what made it watchable was Donna and the Doctor. Those two together just seem to make magic, and there's obviously a real chemistry between them, and that's so refreshing, especially in this. And I liked the actress that played her daughter. I liked seeing a few people back, and I liked a lot of the nods to the past. What got me, though, was just that last quarter. It felt a bit rushed, but there is an end scene, which is hilarious, and, Donna being Donna, something happens. But I think the ending felt rushed, and I think the characterization felt a little bit rushed at the end, and that was a shame, because there's lots of potential here. And Tennant as the Doctor is probably not my favourite, but he's up there. He's like my top 3. He wasn't my first Doctor. But I like the way he portrays the Doctor, and I like the fact they brought him back. I do feel like the BBC are desperate to get viewership back after the failure of Jodie. Because, and I will say this, and I've said this before, I don't mind her as an actress. She can be really good. I've seen her in quite a few things. What I don't like about her is the writing. She never got a chance to be the Doctor. The writers tended to put her with other people, and the other people around her became the story focus. And in Doctor Who, you need that balance. Sometimes the episode is about the villain. Sometimes the episode is about the Doctor. And with her, it was like, go Power Rangers, and that was it. And I don't think they had much faith in her, because a gender swap done right is Missy. She was fantastic, and I miss Missy. But the Doctor's gender swap didn't quite flow right in terms of writing, and not because they swapped the Doctor's gender, but because they just didn't know how to write the female Doctor. And then the annoying characters like Yaz and so on were stripped of those characters, thank God. I feel like the budget has gone up on these episodes. Like, there's obviously money coming in from somewhere and it's not the BBC, which is a good thing. But the actual episode, this special, I really did enjoy. Hopefully, we do get certain retcons ignored. Timeless Child, everyone. But I hope we get more of this. I wonder how they're going to do it. And I wonder how they're going to say it. I think they could have been a little bit less clumsy with the messaging, because science fiction by its nature has always had a political undertone. And that's the nature of science fiction as a genre. But it's political undertone and then clumsy. And there is a way of doing this stuff that doesn't feel like, let's just hammer the audience. And I don't know. Hopefully it can bring it back. I still have hope. I don't like what they've done with Davros and the fact that Russell T Davies is being complete and utter munter online. But, it's, to use my friend's quote, don't be a munter. For the Americans watching, that means stupid. I think characterization, I think characters, I think trying to keep Doctor Who, regardless of the gender or race of the actor playing Doctor Who, you have to keep the Doctor. And Jodie never felt like it. And I think Tenant as an actor is phenomenal. I've seen him in a few things. I've also seen him in stage productions. I saw him do Shakespeare and he was amazing. Got to meet him that night too, which was even cooler. But I feel like you have to be careful with clumsy. You have to be careful with clumsy messaging and too in your face, because it does alienate an audience. I think intelligent science fiction writing, I don't know if it's gone, but I do feel like sometimes the audience they tend to treat the audience like idiots. We saw it with Star Trek Discovery. We've seen it recently with the Stavros mess and other things. But they tend to think their audience are stupid, and they're far from it. So it's always that disconnect, I think. I have very mixed feelings about this episode in terms of just how it was structured, and I think some of the pacing was a bit off. Do I think it was a bad episode? No. Do I think it was clumsy? Yes. And I do feel like it's just finding its footing back, and I'm hoping the bait with Tenant and Donna and so on isn't to do with trying to win back viewership. That is a thing that I think would be annoying. I think that's what they're obviously doing at this point, trying to get back the viewership. And I feel like there was a lot of classic Doctor Who kind of relived in this, just for that, to bring back those numbers and those people that kind of switched off. I mean, Doctor Who has always been kind of uneven. Every Doctor had their best season, their weakest season. Capaldi, for example, I loved his last season with Bill Potts. I thought that was really good. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I wish they'd kept that momentum from day one with him rather than his last season. And then I liked the first parts with Jodie. I thought her first season was decent, and I thought it built up to a lot. And then, yeah, I'm also sick of Cybermen stories. I want to say this. I know they probably do it a lot because the BBC have a large number of their costumes, but I am so over Cybermen. Like, just, there are some great villains that were created in New Who, and there were some great villains that were created in other things. There's comic books and things like that, and it's like, can we see some of those again? Because Cybermen irritate me now. When they're done well, they're done really well. When they're not done well, oh god. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we don't fall into the trap. Side note, that TARDIS design is spectacular, and I love it. I mean, that TARDIS design, I was shocked. I felt like the TARDIS started to feel really small, which is a thing that just irritated me a little bit. Like, it felt kind of cramped and small, and now they've made it feel like the TARDIS again, this big open space. It's kind of a flashback to the first Doctor's TARDIS as well. The white, the retro, very 60s, and I really like that. I think this episode could have been better pacing. I think just the clumsy messaging and that scene that was very disrespectful towards the Doctor at the end felt a little bit like, really? I know it was trying to be funny, but come on. And I feel like a lot of people are missing the point of criticism, because I'm seeing articles on this episode that are... No one's actually saying how good the episode is, especially on Twitter. Like, I'm seeing a lot of articles that are just people writing in their blog sphere and stuff like this, where they're like, well, this episode is this, but you're not actually telling about the episode, you're talking about the socioeconomic politics of the episode. And I'm sick of it. I'm bored with it. I just want to know what you think of an episode, rather than it through a lens of maybe you have to like it. I would give this episode like 5 out of 10. Not my favourite by any means, but not the worst episode ever, and definitely a step up from the writing of Jodie. I just wish certain people were better and more intelligent with their messaging. Your audience are not idiots, your audience are not stupid. And that's ultimately the point. Stop treating your audience like they're a bunch of idiots. That's it. So, as always, tell me what you think below, and I will talk to you guys later. Please forgive the really bad quality of this video, by the way. I am just having a nightmare with cameras. Thanks, Apple, and I'll talk to you guys later.